This winter has been a very cold one in Norway. Since October, we pretty much hit -degrees, most of it in the double digits. But the upside of it is that everything around the farm turned into this magical winter landscape. And Yuki has the best time enjoying himself in the snow. Generally, November, December and January around here are very slow months. We don't have particularly much daylight, the ground is completely frozen, and it is often even a bit too cold to do the chores outside. Many Norwegians adapt to this season by spending more time inside in their cabins in front of the fire and only go outside to ski or have a snowshoe hike when the weather allows it. Winter in Norway is also the season of storms, especially around the coast side, so there aren't too many days that are exceptionally pretty. We still have a lot to do in terms of preparing for the coming season on the farm, but except for firewood and barn restoration, most things take place inside. The snowplower is reaching its limits and it's continuing to snow. Some people would be particularly annoyed by this, but I can enjoy it. The more snow, the better, right? You heard it. The snow is at least very light and powdery, so it's not a big deal to remove it with the snowblower. Problem is just that we only have one battery for that guy, and it is not enough for all of this year. Right? Right? It's been definitely a bit of a hassle to only have one battery, as I had to recharge it 2 to 3 times to do the whole yard. But eventually we spent another $300 painful dollars and got a second one, so now things are going quite smooth. It's no question that it is making things more difficult not to have a tractor around here, but for now we do quite enjoy not having another financial liability in terms of fuel and repairs. As you might remember, the construction of the greenhouse is mainly from recycled material, so some of it might not be as stable as it would be if I would buy something new. So just in case, I have been removing a few rounds of snow from the roof to be sure that at least in the first year, without the snow stoppers, nothing is collapsing. In the beginning of January, we normally also start to prepare the first things for the upcoming growing season. The two staples I started with were pre-growing garlic so that it's ripe a little earlier in the season, and putting out the potatoes for them to grow roots in the light. A little fun project of mine is also to try growing sweet potatoes in this climate, so they have to be prepared very early on in order to be as strong as possible once they get outside into the greenhouse in June. Apart from that, we also started the stratification process for mulberries, sweet chestnuts and black walnut. It's basically simulating winter in a dark environment in order to trigger the germination of the seeds. To complete our fruit forest starter set, I've also been trying myself on winter propagation. The principle here is taking cuttings of existing fruit trees on your property before this sap is shooting into these branches in spring. Once you have your cuttings, you can keep them in water for a few days before making a fresh cut just below one of the nodes and then transplanting them into soil. If everything goes by plan, then these cuttings will generate roots rather quick and will hopefully be ready to be planted by the end of the winter. It's a good idea to make the upper cut at the branch diagonal while keeping the lower one horizontal, just to remember which side of the branch you are cutting is up and down once you're planting it. And you better also put on labels, because it's very easy to forget what kind of cuttings you took. During the not-so-nice winter days this year, I spent a great deal of time in front of the computer, applying to different foundations that support sustainable projects benefiting the outdoor life in Norway. As some of you may have heard, together with some locals, we're trying to build log cabins here that later on will be transported in the mountains in order to, over time, create a network of free cabins so that people can get into the mountains without a large budget and spend 2 or 3 weeks just hiking from cabin to cabin. These projects obviously demand some resources, so that's what the applications we're aiming at. And whenever I wasn't sitting in front of the computer making videos or doing these applications, there was still the second silo that needed to be taken care of. Below me are the leftovers of the first creosote silo that we removed from the barn 2 weeks ago. Now we have one more on that side, so we're going to have the same procedure of opening the screws of the iron bands around, releasing the tension, hopefully taking it apart piece by piece, and if not, the chainsaw is coming out again. This one is a little bit different though. On the top, somebody built a roofing and it has some beams that stabilize it. I'm not sure if they only lay on the actual silo or on the beams next to it. So maybe we will have to remove that one as well. But we'll start with the safety fence around that. It's absolutely beautiful weather today. We have about -8 degrees and pure sun. Next week we're going to switch to +degrees and rain. So the street and our entry to the farm is going to turn into the ultimate ice slide. The silo demolition has definitely been one of my least favorite projects on the farm, but in the end it's good to get rid of the carcinogenic creosote and then hopefully get a bit more space down there in the firewood area, and also have a few more windows that brighten up this side of the barn. As of now, it looks like we actually have to pay the recycling station for them to take the wood, which isn't too pleasant. But at least this is a once in a lifetime kind of thing for this farm, and we're making sure that there will be nothing like this ever coming here again.